And hello everyone, welcome back to Ocast, your island gateway to all things geek. I'm the main host, but I'm quickly going to disappear and brood in the shadows like a certain member of the cast of this show we're going to talk about, and hand over to our host for tonight, Rhiannon. Take it away.
Lovely all to see you again here for our Buffy deep dive on Ocast. Today I have with me our wonderful Scoobies, Graham, our watcher, and Elena, our mummy girl for tonight. Obviously, we are going with names that are reflective of Buffy Season 2, because Season 2 is where we are at. Season 1 was last time, Season 2 tonight. It's very exciting stuff. So we'll probably roughly follow the same way that we did last time. We were looking at, our favourites, our favourite little bits, our favourite little nods, our favourite little, just little snippets and clippets all the way through. Also our least favourites and the things that we would do differently if we were doing it all again. And obviously tonight we would just really love to get into the villains and the sidekicks and the characters, because there are some absolute corkers in season 2. I believe we're all in firm agreement on that. Season 2 is well up there on my list of favorite Buffy seasons. So let's take it away. I would like to start by saying favorite episodes. Graham, favorite episode. Go for it.
Favorite episode is School Hard, by far.
Yes, yes, solid. I knew tonight was going to be a good one. Give us all the reasons why, because I don't think there's a single reason why not.
So straight from the start, you have an absolutely fantastic bit of Principal Snyder. Before we get to the kind of big reveal of the grand entrance, you've got Principal Snyder where he's having the conversation with, is it Sheila her name is?
Yes,
and
he
Buffy.
says, think of me as, some people think of your principal as your pal, but consider me your judge, jury,
your judge, jury, and executioner. That's exactly, I have that line written down in front of me.
Amazing. Yeah, it's what an intro.
Yeah.
What an intro.
And I actually think Sheila's someone that you could have a whole spin-off about, because she stabbed a teacher with some pruning shears. How?
Yeah. She's like, it was some pruning shears.
Yeah. But just everything about the episode, the nods in it as well, because it is loosely based on Die Hard. That's where the name comes from, and they're trapped in the schools, locked in, etc. There's just so much good stuff in this episode, and like I said, that's before we get to the introduction of the big bads for the season.
Yeah, with possibly, may I say, one of the most iconic entrances in TV. I will put that out there. Feel free to contest me in the comments. Feel free to prove us wrong. But I would say Spike's entrance, William the Bloody's entrance to this show has to be one of the most iconic entrances on TV.
Yeah. If there was someone who just exudes aura and charisma from the first second, that's what the kids call it.
Yes, that's the kids. Pure Riz.
But from before they actually appear on screen, like you say, that entrance, it's just, it tells you everything you need to know about them. Spike is just Spike. Drew is so underrated in the canon, and just everything about how she plays the character is phenomenal for me. And I have previously had little interactions with her when I was on Twitter.
Oh, no way.
And I had been tweeting about rewatching and had reached School Hard, and here comes Spike and Drew tagged and got some responses. It's like, yay! Totally marking out. So nice. But yeah, I can't praise this episode highly enough.
No, it is sensational. For those who are yet to watch this episode, I am going to give you a wee bit of a spoiler, because basically what happens is Spike drives in the car that we see for most of Buffy, actually. That bad boy is going for several seasons, and crashes through the Sunnydale sign, gets out of the car, leather jacket, boots, bit of a stomp. He's very much a Billy Idol-esque. Well, we'll come to that at some point, I'm sure. And he just goes, takes a good drag of a cigarette. Oh, he lights, actually. Lights a cigarette. Takes a good old drag and is like, home sweet home. And it just, as you rightly say, everything you need to know about this guy in one fell swoop. But
meanwhile, Drew's been ethereal Drew, I'm cold. I'm a princess.
It's just that Miss Edith. He's like honestly, Miss Edith. I'd watch a spin-off about Miss Edith. What that doll would have to the therapy that doll has had to go through. I want to hear her side of the story at this point. Like,
Yeah.
poor kid.
That's a great one, yeah.
Yeah, it is excellent. But no, I think it's a real firm start. School hard, absolute solid. Elena, what about yourself? What are we going for?
Okay, well, if I am robbed of saying school hard, which also would have been my choice.
Okay, so we've got 2 out of 3 so far. Well, maybe even 3 out of 3, depending. Let's see.
I guess I would pick Halloween.
That would have been my second one. Oh, that's so funny. I love that. Okay, that's a good agreement. I think that's we're all in agreement on these. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us more about Halloween.
Well, much like in the first season, the episode about their nightmares, it's almost like again Halloween reveals kind of like their shadow or just like some qualities that the characters would like to have and maybe are not as expressed. Also, we have Dark Giles
Yes.
in the Halloween episode.
We have a little introduction to the Ripper.
The first mention
Yes.
of Ripper.
Ah.
And yeah, and altogether it's like an also very atmospheric episode. I guess, it's just so like immersive. It's so nice to watch. And I do also like that, of course, Cordelia, who actually is quite practical character, although that's not something that we're probably supposed to think about her in the first place. She's the one who has a different costume than everyone else, so she doesn't get affected by whatever, like the curse or the magic in the costumes. So yes, that would be my choice.
Amazing. And again, for those of us at home that haven't quite got to the Halloween episode yet, basically what happens is everybody goes to this costume store that is run by the Ethan Rain. I'm sure we will come back to him. The what's a good word for Ethan? How would we describe Ethan other than chaotic? He's actually one of my favorite wee additions to the show throughout. I actually have a lot of time for his presence because he is just this kind of he's a mechanism for storyline, but he also makes sense in the places where he appears. So like I'm happy to see him on repeat, as throughout the series. Yeah, so we've got Ethan Rain is running this costume shop, and he just likes a bit of chaos. He's there praying to chaos, and he's got like the old head sitch, little spooky statue, looks real cool. And basically, everybody who is wearing a costume that was bought from his shop becomes the costume that they were wearing. Something that's quite important about this, actually, is that Xander's character, the amount of times they call back to the fact that he was dressed in army uniform. Like, Lordy, like, they really rely on that points throughout the entire show. And I'm sat there by the end going, how much do you actually remember from one night when you were like, I'm like, come on now. Like, I feel like we might have used this a little far.
I
But
have
yeah,
actually
so
written down that Xander seems to be the only one who retains any knowledge of.
Yeah, all of the rest of them, do they just blank it out and pretend like it didn't happen?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess in a way though, like he was the only one that was like because Willow was a ghost.
Willow was a ghost.
And Buffy was a princess, which, as we point out in the Hush episode, where she's like, the princess, me.
Yep.
So maybe she did. I don't know. Len, for anyone at home who's watching this, my name is Lady Ree of Reephonia. That is because, as Xander says, Lady Buff of Buffonia. I am in awe because she does get a really cracking dress in this episode. Love it. Love it. But yeah, no, it is funny, isn't it? How he appears to be the only one who remembers being I don't know what he was. Was he a Marine? I'm actually not sure.
I thought it was just a generic soldier.
Just a generic soldier. Yeah, generic soldier, Xander V. But yeah, they do call back to that for quite a couple of plot points. So it actually becomes quite an important episode in a way that other episodes so early in Buffy aren't. And, that kind of like the kind of not like plot reliant episodes. Like it calls back to it quite a lot.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But yeah, I honestly, my hands are now tied because School Hard and Halloween would absolutely be my choices for my favorite episodes from this season. I think if I had to pick another one, which would be a favorite, probably for another reason. Let's see. Let me consider. Would probably be Passion, and this is my favorite because it's also really awful. And I think it's the first time that we as a Buffy fandom start experiencing some of the complex themes that Buffy will also, like obviously, yes, we have we have touches of things so far, but this is probably one of the most hard hitting moments for me in the entirety of Buffy. Now I'm going to give everyone a 5-second warning and say, if you haven't watched season 2, prepare not to listen to the next 5 seconds because this will really give some game away. So just don't listen to me for about 10 seconds. But when obviously Miss Calendar is no longer with us, that's a big shock, and I think that is probably going to bring us on to maybe we will definitely be calling back to this. So I don't want to hark on to Passion too much because we're going to be bringing this up, I suspect, when we come to talk about villains. But yeah, so I think, guys, that's a solid 3 for 3. I think then School Hard, we are in agreement that is the best episode of season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Halloween a second. Do we
Yep.
think?
Yeah.
Top 3. Does anyone else have a third? What would your third be if it wasn't Passion? Have we got a contender for third?
If it wasn't Passion, well,
Yeah, if it wasn't
because
Passion.
that would have been my other choice.
There you go. Well, you see, this is how we know we're all connected. This is telepathy. I love it. Cool. Okay, so we're all literally in agreement. That is that how we'd list them? We'd go through that. Amazing.
Yep.
Sensational.
It's actually
Okay,
a really
good.
strong series, and I've got
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got about 9 episodes written down that I could have picked from.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's honestly, I mean, I'm sure we will come back to this when we start rating where we would put season 2. We'll do that at the end. But it is very much up there for me, and probably when I think of Buffy, actually, it's probably the one that I think of automatically.
Yeah.
It's got some absolutely cracking moments. So now, if we can find one, what are the terrible moments? What are the ones that we would do again and rewrite ourselves? What do we think?
Would you like
Go
to go
fish.
first? Since yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, I'm gonna eeny meeny. Who went first last time? Who went first?
I went first last time, so.
Okay, Elena, it's you.
Yeah, I think I would pick Go Fish because so many reasons. I think altogether, like throughout what I was noticing throughout the season 2, there's some like unreflected slut shaming happening every now and then. And in Go Fish, it's just so blatant that I know that like our sensitivity to these topics developed since this episode was made. So I don't want to like be too harsh towards it. But there's just like multiple moments, and in this one, basically Buffy is like sexually assaulted at least twice in this episode.
Yeah.
And but also like from another point of view, it doesn't really, there's just like so many logical gaps in it that it's just really bizarre. Like,
we've been struck by that little demon that we talked about in the first season, where some things feel out of place.
yeah,
Like maybe someone's gone, you know what we should write? And then they
yeah,
make an episode about it rather than it feeling genuine to the story. I mean, and obviously, as you say, yes, sensitivities develop, but I do also think that there's some times when stuff is actually just out of character and it's out of place. And yes, as we've just seen it, we've just had a comment come in saying, "Totally Go Fish, that was so lame." And I think it's true. It's true. It's definitely not. Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think it's just not. It doesn't feel canon. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I
also
think that it was uncomfortable.
there are a lot of puns in that episode, which is typical for Buffy, like puns, right? But they're just like made in like such moments where like someone's being murdered
Yeah, it's totally
and
not appropriate.
they make a
Like,
pun out of it.
it doesn't feel authentic to
Yeah.
the level of emotional sensitivity that we see in other parts of season 2.
Yes.
Or in other parts of Buffy in general, but it really just feels like it's lacking. And do you have anything further to add on this? Are you happy for us to jump in?
Let's continue.
Let's
I'm
continue.
sure we will come back to these topics.
Do you have anything
Yeah.
to say on Go Fish, Graham? Do you have anything to say?
I can't stand the episode, and I've got 4 episodes written down for
4 episodes I can't stand, and
this.
9 that are perfect.
Yes, that's how good this season is. But it's one of those ones where I almost feel that, without us getting into Joss Whedon just now, but I almost feel like he started with the ending because he thought it was funny
Yes.
and worked
It
backwards
does
from
feel
there.
a bit like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, Joss. If he could have just not been involved, it would have saved us all some time. But there we are.
That would have done. Yeah.
Oh, another question has just come in. The only question about Go Fish, when they went into the sea at the end and swam home, where were they swimming to? Russia. Mark. Honestly, your guess is as good as ours, because I just hope they were swimming far away from the fandom in general, never to return. And
They may as well have
so far
just sort of
we've been
pointed
lucky.
to the sky and said, I must go, my home planet needs me. And totally poochied out.
I'm just going to ask him, so is Go Fish almost like that Voyager episode Threshold? Like,
Yes.
let's never talk about this ever again.
Yeah. It's, if parts of it weren't so bad, it would be totally forgettable. It's just, it's not entertaining. Don't think I can say much worse about it than it does nothing for me. It's not entertaining.
Why don't you tell us the other episodes you have on the list in the meantime that are the ones that you didn't like?
So I'm not a fan of Reptile Boy.
Uh-huh.
Which is basically
kind of similar in a way.
Yep. And with no offence meant to your title for this evening, Inca Mummy Girl's more or less the same as well. It's the 3 of them. In fact, let's add another one in there because it's basically the same story again, just flipped slightly. Some assembly required.
Yes.
It's all this idea of, someone needs to belong to someone. I'll probably go more on some assembly required, but it's the idea that they're making the perfect girl for the dead brother who's been reanimated. It does have good moments in it, and I will give it a wee bit of credit because that's the episode where you've got Giles practicing asking Miss Calendar out.
Yes.
He's bumbling over the whole thing, and Buffy comes in, sees him, and what are you doing asking out the chair? They'll try speak English, not whatever they speak in England. So it's got good things like that. You've got a lot of jealousy from Angel in this episode as well, because in the previous episode, Buffy had danced on Xander, basically knowing that Angel was watching. And it does have that moment where Buffy asks, why are you jealous? And Angel says something to the effect of, jealous? No, he's just a kid. And Buffy's like, but aren't I also? Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You're 17, your vampire partner's 241.
One
a
might
bit of a
say
problem.
it's a bit of a problematic age gap, one might say.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just going to apologise briefly. I think I dropped off for a
Yes.
minute there. As for all of you that are new to us and have just met us, we are based in the Outer Hebrides, and there's some big wind and some big rain coming our way this weekend. So I'm hoping that isn't indicative of the next couple of days. But we shall see. Yeah, no, I think that those are all some. Obviously, I only caught the back end there, but that sounds like some really important points to be considering. If we haven't totally moved on from where we were before, I would like to also say things that I wasn't as keen on, and do let me know if we've already spoken about it. I'm imagining, did we touch on Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered?
Not yet.
Not yet, although we totally should.
Yeah, we totally should, because
Mhm.
what was that?
Self-insert.
Yeah, self-insert again. What is his problem? I mean, I know what his problem is. I wish he would stop bringing it into our happy time, which is Buffy. My other one, which is, and this might be a really harsh judgment, but genuinely, so I'm gonna confess something here live on air. me and my sister used to have a tradition, and in that tradition, we would watch all of Buffy in 7 days. Did it mean that we would only sleep for about 2 or 3 hours? Yes. Was it healthy? No. No, it was not. Was it also just like a challenge we decided it was a tradition? Also, yes. So, but in all of the times I have seen Buffy, which I do not even want to begin to think about, because it's probably a lot, I have only watched Ted once.
Wow.
I watched it once and I just went, nah. I was just like, so it's also the one that I'm probably least qualified to speak on, because I honestly think I've watched it once, maybe twice. I genuinely, it can't be more than that.
I actually think that's a real shame.
See, okay, you see. So maybe next time I watch season 2, I will watch Ted. I don't know why. It was genuinely must have just
It's
caught me on a
not a
bad
wonderful
day.
episode. It's not. But John Ritter is so good.
Bless
Mhm.
him. Oh, I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry.
His whole
Bearing in mind-
performance makes it watchable.
Bless him. I mean, bearing in mind, John, I do apologise to you out there. I was probably like, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 when I first watched it, or maybe slightly older, but I was around there when I watched it. And I think Ted, now forgive me if I'm wrong, is Ted the last one on a VHS tape? You know, when you've broken them up into let's say they're on 3 VHS tapes. I feel like Ted is like the last one on one of those, and maybe that was part of the reason, because I was possibly too lazy to then spend all my time rewinding it right back to the beginning. But I will, now that I don't have that excuse and haven't watched VHS in about over 15 years, maybe I should watch Ted again, and I'll get back to you guys on that. That I can definitely do before our next one. But yeah, so my main gripe, though, I would have to say, other than the ones we've already spoken about, which Go Fish would be so probably my number one on that, but Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered, where basically when we talk about self-insert, we spoke about in our first episode that sometimes the character of Xander feels like Joss Whedon is putting himself into the
Living
show,
out some fantasies.
living out some fantasies, shall we say. And in this episode, that he tries to use a love spell to get Cordelia to fall in love with him, but unfortunately this kind of all goes pear-shaped, and every woman in Sunnydale ends up being in love with him. Hence the theories on the self-insert sitch. It also then involves like just like everyone coming on to him. We see these characters, like, and Buffy included. Again, it's kind of like we're starting to, I didn't enjoy that. Like it didn't no. Again, it's like one of these things that, yes, okay, they were under a spell, but like why did you feel the need to do that? Because I didn't feel the need to see that, and actually it didn't, I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's almost like the whole season has like 2 levels, or like 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's like split into 2 parts, where like one part is very well developed, deep, psychological. We get these like intense stories that we really get like immersed in. And then it's the other half, which is basically like as if the trio wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
just keeps reappearing, these like objectification of women, and what happened there.
Yeah, because like some people could say, all right, there's this idea that, you know, like, not to say like relief, but you know, the idea that, oh, you'd have some episodes where it really, but I didn't find those relieving
No.
in no way did I find those relieving. In fact, I really did find them a sort of, okay, you've thrown me in a way that is not either developing like doesn't develop, that you can watch series, for example, Supernatural, love Supernatural, where there's episodes in between plot development where they still have fun and they can have a giggle, and that's great. And I actually love that about the earlier seasons, is it's not all plot. Like there's little stories that you can enjoy and you can immerse yourself in it. I actually love those.
Trickster
But
episodes.
yeah, you're right. Pardon?
The Trickster episodes in particular.
Yes, the Trickster episodes. Very good shout. Very good shout. But yeah, things like that are just a bit, you know, they have their own little twist at the end, and there was a kind of a moral of the story, and that's all fine. But yeah, you're right, Elena. Like season 2, these just keep popping up, and you're going like, why are you doing this to me? You're ruining
Yeah.
what is otherwise a very, you know, developed and soulful time. So there we go. For a season that we've all said we love so much. We really managed to find some things to pick out there. And again, I can only apologise to Ted's performance. I promise it was me, not you. It was me,
It's
not you.
okay. John
That's
Ritter sadly
my
died in
toxic initiative.
2003.
Well, then I nod to you and I say it was me, not you. It was me, not you.
Did you know that
Okay. Oh, go on.
just going back to some assembly required, I wrote down some
Yeah.
trivia stuff because, yeah.
Ooh, we
So
love the trivia.
the actor who plays Eric, the kid that's doing
Yeah.
most of the photography and is a creepier one, he co-wrote Scott Pilgrim with Edgar Wright.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
What an odd sort of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon style thing to happen.
Yeah. But as well as that, and it relates specifically to that episode, he also wrote the Weird Science reboot. Yeah.
Well,
And what with the episode being kind of weird science, then
yeah, it's like Weird Science.
6
It's like
degrees.
it's along the same lines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, there you go. That is good trivia. Thanks.
You're welcome.
You see, every day's a school day, guys. School hard. School hard. Excellent. Well, now that we have managed to establish the best and the worst of season 2, I think, whilst we were having a wee little chat before we got started and we just wanted to go over what we were going to talk about tonight, I feel like we can turn and spin into our sidekicks, because I feel like the villain chat's going to be huge. So let's give our sidekicks some love and give our sidekicks some nods. In particular, we would like to bring to everybody's attention Miss Cordelia Chase, because oh me, what a dish, what a doll, what a gal, what an absolute weapon. Absolutely love her. Elena, take us away. Comments, thoughts, feelings.
Well, I really like the character of Cordelia, and even when she has moments when she's supposed to be the mean girl, I find it hard to dislike her.
Yeah.
I appreciate how practical she is.
Yeah.
She's looking out for number one, and that's something we should all do from time to time. Yeah. Yeah. And also, she's a really useful sidekick. She always takes people somewhere by car.
Yeah.
Even though she had a hard time getting her driving license initially, she becomes a very capable driver who can just
Yeah, I forgot about that for a hot second. Yeah, no, she's amazing. And even later on in the series, I think it's nice because we do start to see in season 1 when we see Cordy kind of, as you say, real mean girl stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the lines that she comes out with are blinders. Like they're mean girl, but my goodness, are they funny? Which is, it's an absolute critical combination. But yeah, in season 2, we just kind of start to see this softer side, this human side, this compassion, this genuine, this not only just development, but maybe just us seeing more of her. Like, you know how it's like kind of the idea that the more you get to know someone, the areas of them that you see are either be redeemable or you'd see something in them that you love. I think in a way that's kind of how Cordy is portrayed to us. We see this, obviously Charisma Carpenter is stunningly wonderful, and the hair, what I wouldn't have done to have Cordy's hair, like my goodness. But we kind of see what we want to see in the first season to a sense, and then in the second season we just get that sort of development, we get that softness, we get to know her as a person, a little bit more, Cordy as a person. So yeah, I would say I honestly, yeah, Cordy, big up. Graham, anything to say?
Across the whole Buffy verse, so we'll include Buffy and Angel here, I think Cordelia has probably the best character development over the course, possibly the second best, because we might come back to someone later. In fact, we will come back to someone later. But from that journey from season 1, where it's mean girl, through you start to see her soften, probably a little bit in episode 1 of this season, more so episode 2. You've got the whole bit in the second episode, which I think is in fact some assembly required, where she hides in a bin and Angel finds her. But she's the one who gives us the exposition about Daryl. The previous episode, when Buffy comes back from LA, Buffy's out mean girling the mean girl. But Cordy, the phrase that I kept writing down for each episode And it softens a wee bit, but generally I kept coming back to obnoxiously wonderful, because that just for me summed up Cordy, which is amazing.
That's great.
And like I say, when you then carry on through the seasons, when you move to LA and watch Angel, Cordy is such an integral part of that by far. Even, yes, we know what Whedon did, right, in terms of screwing Charisma Carpenter around and all that. But as a character, I just think she's amazing.
Yes, I would also at this point, because I'm obviously aware of our time this evening, I'm going to jump straight into the next one that I would like to raise and say, Kendra, what, like, this is the first time that we, as a result of the end of season 1, obviously Buffy technically dies. And so for all of you that don't know, when a Slayer dies, the next one is called. And so we see Kendra appear. Now, I will have to say, accent situation, not sure about it as a choice, because I'm sure there were, don't get me wrong, actress absolutely fantastic, but I am often of the belief that it's like maybe they could have made a different decision there, and I'm not sure it's aged very well. But actually, it did bring a really interesting dynamic, because all of a sudden there's like, whoa, could Buffy have this normal life that she dreams of? And it's kind of, and I think that after seeing the amount of pressure that season 1 put on her, and as I say, she literally, it's like literally died. It's like actually, it just that kind of offers. I think as an audience, you kind of go like, oh, maybe there is this relief. And Kendra is very by the book. Buffy's like shoot from the hip gunslinger, and Kendra is by the book. She's read everything. Giles is loving this.
Yes.
Like she came fully prepared. And actually I like, in the same way that we see Cordy kind of soften up and stuff as well, we see Kendra come around to the Scooby's way of doing things, and she softens and she likes it, and she starts fitting in very much a part of it. And the loss that I felt later on was, I think, it was kind of complicated, because it's almost like you hadn't got to see as much of her as you wouldn't like. If Kendra hadn't died, then we wouldn't have got to see who comes next, who I'm sure we will all come on to at some point, the bombshell, and probably one of my favourite characters ever for many reasons. But yeah, so it's like actually Kendra, while she is sadly short-lived with us on screen, I actually thought she did bring quite a lot of she brought interesting dynamic to the story and how that played out. What do you guys reckon?
Please go on.
She gets
okay.
no.
Well, no, I just also what I like about Kendra's presence, that Buffy expresses what we kind of already see, that she's very like mature in terms of dealing with her emotions, and that she's using them to fight, and she's kind of like sharing that with Kendra, who has a different approach. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting character. And I have to say, when I rewatched it and I saw her die, I thought that doesn't work. Like it, you're told that killing a Slayer is a difficult task. And then Drusilla just like does it with her nail.
She whips her, and it's like, it just feels like all of your hopes and dreams, like, and not just for this young woman, but also for Buffy, through the fact that this young woman is now here. It's like it just goes as quickly as you had it. And that, it's a kind of loss that you can't quite explain. And I think it's interesting because there is so much loss in this season.
Yes.
That actually it's like a different kind, and I feel like we get a plethora of loss in this season. So yeah, it's interesting to see the balance. Is there anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to in this season, Graham, as a sidekick related character or a co-character?
Sidekick, not so much, but I have so much love for Principal Snyder. Just every time Armin Shimmerman is on screen,
I think he can blend into the villain. I think he can lead us into the villain section. He's kind of that in between. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like because he is an excellent character, but he's definitely got that villain-esque.
He's, in a lot of ways, he's just your archetypal mean school principal. He's what you call Principal Strickland from Back to the Future. He's that character writ large. I mean, everything that man does on screen is watchable, and
he's just got some of the best lines in the entire show.
Yeah,
Like in the
Absolutely.
all of the 7 seasons, I feel like they all got together and went, you know what, we're just going to write some of the funniest stuff and we're going to give it to this one guy, and that was okay because it did enough.
And I really enjoy that a lot of the things that he says, it's actually Giles that ends up sort of bringing the prophecy to life. Like the very first episode, he's talking about how a pretty girl walks by, every boy turns into a gibbering fool.
Yeah.
And then Miss Calendar comes in and Giles is like, There's lots of little things. He's just amazing.
Yeah. Now I am just desperately trying to quickly. Oh, no, because this is early season 3, so I don't want to touch onto this yet. But I feel like I have to because we've now mentioned Snyder. This is slightly breaking the rules. Is it breaking the rules? Can I break the rules just for this one bit?
I think you can.
Is that okay?
I vote for breaking.
Okay, let's break these rules because it's when Giles is in the office with him, and it just out. This is when I'm saying we've seen a little bit of Ripper in season 2. We see a whole lot of Ripper for a wee while, and then it's there. Would you like me to convince you? I was like, Giles, no. And then the older I get, I'm like, Giles, no. Oh, cat attack. The cat agrees. The cat agrees.
Yes, it's very.
She's like, me
sorry
too.
about that.
Me too. Yeah, no, literally, it was like, Giles, how could you do this? And now I'm literally like, Giles, how could you be like this? It's so silly. Yeah, no, literally. Oh my goodness. But no,
and then you don't see enough of that again until
you don't.
To the test.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We will come to that.
Oh, we'll definitely get there.
Surely we shall. Yeah. No, I think that Snyder is. I could just genuinely talk about him all day. He's probably one of the funniest characters, and just the times when you're like, it's not quite like you hate him. Because I feel like you've all had a teacher who's a bit like, no offense to teachers, I have big love and big respect for the jobs that you guys do, but there is always one. And it feels like Principal Snyder does embody that one.
Yeah.
So well.
Yeah, the one who never wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what he says, doesn't he? Come on.
Somewhat crawling around, mindlessly feeding and mating like locusts.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Giles says
Yes.
something along the lines of, have you considered given how much you hate kids, that perhaps being a school principal wasn't the calling for you? Something like that. Apologies if I butchered it. I'm going to look it up.
Oh, you will. So Graham, you look it up, and I will continue on. So to say, let's see. So now that I feel like we've opened the door to the villain side of this show.
Got it.
Which, go on, do it.
So Snyder says, crawling around, mindlessly bent on feeding and mating, destroying everything in sight in their relentless, pointless desire to exist. And Giles says, have you considered, given your abhorrence of children, that school principal was not perhaps your vocation?
Excellent. 12 out of 10.
Close enough.
No, that's a solid effort, to be fair. That's a solid effort when we're talking about it in passing. Yeah, Snyder, what a guy. But yes, I feel like that has led us well into the villain era of this side, which I feel like we're just gonna have to go for it, guys. Let's just start with Spike and Drew, and then we will approach Angelus, because I feel like that gets its own. I feel like save the iconic till, like, obviously both iconic, don't get me wrong, but they are both iconic for very different reasons. Spike and Drew, just take it away, Elena. Just Spike and Drew. Enough said. But Elena, what's your favourite Spike and Drew moment from this series, if there could be one?
Gosh. I think, okay, so Spike, and I think there's going to be more, if I'm remembering correctly, in the next seasons. Hanging around with Joyce.
Yes.
I guess that's what's like endearing about Spike, even when he's in his full demon mode. Like, his humanity is very present in, the things he likes. And also that he's like so dedicated to his lover. That's just something that makes him very endearing. So I would pick that one, because otherwise there are so many epic ones. Like, I would find it hard to select only one. And with Drew, yeah.
Is it the bit that you're talking about, like when in season 2 finale becoming part 2 when he's basically sat with Joyce.
Yes.
And Jo's like, and she's like, do we know each other? And he's like,
Yeah.
you hit me with an axe one time. Remember, like, get the hell away from my daughter. And she's like,
And she's like,
yeah. Like,
which
okay.
like Joyce has her own arc throughout this whole season where she's like heavily suppressing what is going on and then coming to terms with it in an odd way. So that's a perfect one as well. And with Drew, I think when she wants to dig a little grave for herself and sleep in it naked like an animal or something, that's just her peak moment for me. Yeah.
I think first being introduced to Miss Edith in the Tea Party will forever shine brightly in my soul. But yeah, I think it's similarly like the times when you just kind of learn that Spike is slightly... He loves the chaos and he loves the murder and he loves the madness, but he's also a bit like, actually, I kind of like planet Earth being here and letting me do these things. And I don't actually want to destroy everything and make it hell, because I quite like just being a complete inconvenience to everybody. And it's just the chaos that comes with him, that he does have rules. And I feel like sometimes actually the most powerful villains have rules, as we will approach the mayor at some points.
Yay.
Absolutely. But I like this because Spike does have his own rule book. And he's like, okay, I like all this chaos and things like that, but I don't actually want, like, oh yeah, we want hell, but we don't actually want hell. In fact, I think he says something similar. He's like, oh, demons talk about it. Oh, but I think for me, it's when he's like speaking to one of the vampires when he comes in and he goes, you were there. If every vampire was like, yeah, but it's like, if every vampire who said he was at the crucifixion was actually there, it would have been like Woodstock. It's like literally probably one of my favorite lines. Yeah, absolutely.
He's very anti-pompous. He's just like the actual like counterpoint against all these like kids that dream about what it would be like to be vampires, and they have these capes, and so he's very much like punk and loving life.
As we know, Billy Idol got his look from him. Like, what can we
Yeah.
say? He's absolutely. But yeah, Graham, what about yourself?
I had the crucifixion Woodstock line written down.
Because
that was what I had.
It's because it's great.
With the follow-up of, I fed off a flower person and spent the next 6 hours watching my hand move.
Watching my hand move. Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is brilliant. And again, you just like, how can they bomb some of these episodes so hard when the rest of it is just, that's the kind of comic relief we're talking about. That's the kind of relief that we need, is these characters that are so well written that day one, week one, you know what they're about, you know what their rules are, you know how they're willing to play. And, even things like when he's there and he's like, what, he's getting vampires to like record Buffy fighting, and him like playing it back and being like, oh, she's it's kind of, I don't know, I like that he's got rules whilst also being very punk and a massive rule breaker. It's a good set. I think that obviously, other villain wise, we've got the annoying one, which
briefly
we've got the annoying one, which is the anointed
and the kid.
For those. Yeah, and the kid. Yeah, we have this in a quote in the show where someone refers to him as the annoying one, and so he is the anointed one.
Is it not?
Spike, yeah, it is Spike. Oh, yeah, it's the annoying one. Yeah, so obviously they exist. Sure, fine. I don't really have a lot of things to say about that. I mean, it's kind of, for me, it was just kind of there, and to provide something that we're sort of building up to, and we need to know who the anointed one is, and blah blah blah, and that's fine, because it's almost in a way that you forget that sometimes your enemies can be a little bit closer than that. They can be a little bit closer to home. And for many people in the world, and for many women in the world, that can in fact be your partner, and that can change very rapidly, and it can look very different on the inside. And one of the key things about season 2 is the change of Angel to Angelus. And I don't know about anyone else, but that to me was a pretty formative experience watching that. One of the key things this season for me, so for anyone who isn't aware, Buffy and Angel sleep together. It is the first time that Buffy has had sex. And when Angel and her sleep together, he loses his soul. So basically, Angel is a vampire with a soul, and when they sleep together, he loses his soul because it's a moment of pure happiness, and he's under this curse. He is cursed to never be able to experience true happiness. I was like, I hope I did a quick run through of that there, a roundabout way of doing it. But for me, before we kind of go any further along the Angel and Buffy line, I would like to do a little shout out to another one of the sort of co-characters, Giles, who for me gives one of the most beautiful speeches and words of wisdom at the end, where he's like, I'm not going to judge you. He's like, I'm not judging you for this. And I actually think that for the time when this, like, so this season came out in 1997, my year of birth, whoop whoop, holla holla. I don't know, it's kind of one of those things which actually, for Giles being such an important father figure to Buffy, was really nice. It was really wholesome to see that this, he's going to sit in there, and yes, okay, in a way, it's him talking about the fact that, well, we didn't know that Angel was going to be evil, but like, it is obviously about the fact that he's like, look, I'm not blaming you for the fact that this boy's then turned out not to be the man that you thought he was, and he's now been really abusive and really horrible, because when Angel loses his soul, he becomes absolutely vicious, violent, and deeply, deeply sinister, stalking, traumatizing character, which for all of us that had come to completely fall in love with him and David Brennis entirely, like, actually, it's a lot. It is a lot. What about you guys? Anything to say?
I think what you said there about Giles, apart from anything else, and to go all heavy about it, from a trauma-informed perspective, he did absolutely the right thing. He made sure that Buffy, this isn't your fault. I'm not judging you for it, but I'm here for you.
Yeah. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah. And as silly as this might sound, as a parent, I'd like to think that I've taken bits of parent inspiration from characters like Giles, where
so
it's well written. Nobody's perfect, he gets it wrong.
No, but it's so important to see this kind of representation of really wholesome, because so often, like, obviously the dynamic with, now I didn't even shout out to Joyce in this series, who as another sort of co-character definitely should have, but there's some times when Joyce does not behave in the way that I would have liked to have seen her behave throughout Buffy.
Ted, for example.
For example, probably why I didn't watch it again. Maybe that's a psychology thing I can approach on my own later. But like, there are definitely opportunities during Buffy where Joyce fell short in my expectations, as does Giles. I'm not letting him off clean, but this in particular was a moment where I think that it was really something to see some really great representation of how young people can be supported through these real tricky times, and mistakes that I know people far older and, in inverted commas, far wiser, have made exactly the same mistakes, and it never gets any easier. But yeah, so I was very moved by that performance from Anthony Head. I thought it was very lovely.
I think in terms of Angelus, I think one of the things for me is just how cruel he gets.
It's awful. This is why we wanted to wait to talk about Passion, because this is, like, for me personally, this is where this really comes in. So the episode Passion we referred to earlier is heartbreaking for many reasons.
It's not just how he messes with Buffy, it's how he goes about to systematically mess with every single person in her life. Like you said, it's sinister. And I think it's really quite interesting how, Spike comes in as the big bad, the evil one, the chaotic one, blah, blah, blah. But like you said, he's got rules.
He has got rules. He's got rules, and I think that... Sorry, no, please carry on, Greg.
No, I was just going to say, he has, throughout the whole thing, he's retained that sort of romanticism that he had when he was William.
And I'm sure we will come back to that.
We will, and the poems. But with Angelus, he's just utterly loathsome in every single way.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because, like, I think the older I get now, obviously I said that I've watched Buffy about 1 million times, apart from the episode Ted. The the older I get, the more it hurts. actually, the more watching that hurts me. And I don't know whether that's like a thing that we can all, a position we can all put ourselves in or we can all relate to, but whether that is then as someone who would care about a person this age going through that, or even just anybody, right? It's like you start to appreciate how.
Just that I like the choice of like Angelus's speech and this like I don't even know how to describe this like behavior of this like like a young disrespectful I guess like it's very probably psychotic is the only way I can think of, but it kind of like he's not at all like serious. He even like the way he walks is different. I don't know if you noticed that he just doesn't take anything seriously. The only like break you get from it is in the episode I Only Have Eyes for You.
Yeah, I love that episode. Oh, we
Yeah.
should have talked about that earlier. I the song from that I have on my Spotify, and it pops up quite a lot whenever it would do the rounds. My partner's like, "Is that the one from?" I'm like,
Yes.
I'm like, "Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No judgment here, please. Only kind words." But yeah, Only Have Eyes. And you're right. It's like that minute where they kiss at the end, and then he like jumps out, he runs away,
Yeah,
and you see her face. Like that in itself is its own
yeah.
torture. It is torturous that she has gone through this, that she for a second thought that she had him back. And that's
But
breadcrumbing. Like it's, in the real world, if Muffy wasn't a metaphor here.
yeah. But isn't it interesting that his Angelus's quests, other than tormenting Buffy, are about destroying the world, and it's almost like he's hating himself
Himself,
so
yeah.
much that he just wants to destroy it all, right?
I honestly think you're right, and I think that that's not something like, because even Spike's like, we talk about it, but like we never actually try to destroy the world. What are you doing? And he never really he never really gives a reason. And you're like, well, he didn't want to destroy the world before. Like in all of the cutbacks we see to sort of previous Angelus life, he was living the high life and he was partying hard and he was killing and sleeping his way through all of Europe and traumatizing everybody as he went. But like he wasn't destroying the world, like as far as I could tell. So I think you're right. I think all of a sudden there's another dynamic in this, because as we will learn as Buffy goes on can be a vampire without a soul and still have some semblance of humanity in places. So I wonder if in as well, like he's overcompensating. Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
really trying to crush up the cruelty because he can't cope with what he's doing or what he wants to do. So he's got to just let it all burn. Yeah. Interesting thoughts. I like it.
How much do you think that the end of Passions, what happens there, inspires future Giles actions? I'm thinking end of season 5.
I thought that's probably what you were getting at. I have to agree. I wonder, because it must be so hard for him to go. You know what I mean? Like to have gone through that again. Like, yeah, I would have to say yes. And I think that sometimes Giles does get a lot of heavy judgment in the later series for some stuff, and you go, this guy's been through a lot. Like, I'm not saying,
Yeah.
nobody's perfect, and I think that's something that Buffy does quite well, actually, as a show, is that nobody's perfect and people do make mistakes in that, and, there's ways to come around that. But yeah, definitely, actually. I think that that's maybe not given enough credit as a sort of a timeline, because actually it's not that long. Like, if you
It's
you
not.
think about these are supposed to be every season's kind of a school year, right? Like, so if that's going to be the case, then actually it's really not been very long since this man has gone through all of these things, much like many of our characters. But yes, I think you're probably right. But yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, Passions is the episode where Giles, who has been incredibly loved up and fallen in love with Miss Jennifer Calendar, who has been one heck of a side character. Again, my goodness, there's so many characters in season 2. You know what, guys? I think we will do an episode just on sidekicks and co's at some point, and Scoobies, sidekicks, co's, and Scoobies, because there's just so many that I love. And Jenny Calendar is an absolute pocket rocket. She's a hero of mine. Women in tech, women in STEM. Let's go. She's amazing, and she meets an incredibly grisly, brutal, and cruel end, which is then displayed for Giles to find in a way that is just harrowing. So yeah, this guy has really been through the ringer, and our girl Jen did not deserve that in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, so anything else on it? Obviously, I would also like to say the music in this series, where you get the Buffy and Angel, like, the Buffy and Angel bit. Okay, yes, I may not have I might not have grown up enough that still doesn't absolutely tug at my heartstrings. Okay, as like the 15, 16-year-old girl within me still lives and breathes, and she is like, like crying the whole time. It's okay. It's okay. I'm fine now. I promise. But yeah, so I think that the whole setup of it, and at the end, obviously, Elena, would you like to talk us through the end of season 2? Would you like to give us how it ended? How did you feel about that?
Well, I was wondering whether they were still worried that the show might get cancelled because it's quite a well-rounded end. Like it could theoretically, I mean, perish the thought, but it could end there, right? Because uh, we kind of like deal with, oh, does Joyce realize what's going on? And she does towards the end. And there are like moments where Buffy has to deal with what does it mean to be Slayer, but in the real world, because she actually gets entangled with the police at some point, right? And at one point, she even thinks she killed a person, which ends up being a robot. These themes and this like responsibility as a superhero are kind of like coming towards the end, where she, as we will talk about in season 3, decides to briefly leave. And also something we didn't mention at all, in this season we see Willow gaining more power, not just magical power, she also gets a more assertive, but it is kind of like the beginning of Willow the Witch.
A big old arc that is gonna take us in some places, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was also very satisfying to see like this start of that. So yeah, I found it like a very good end to the season.
Yeah, it was very, as you say, it was really well rounded. I thought it was really balanced. I mean, and it kind of had that open end where you could see and thank the lords that it did, thank the gods that it did, but obviously continue on into a third season. But as you rightly say, it could have ended there, and it still would have been a great 2 seasons of TV. And wouldn't have I would have just had to watch that even more, and then Ted wouldn't have got missed at all, would it? Because it would have been finite. But yeah, I have to say the ending of season 2, I cried for about a week, maybe 2. The first time I watched it, it was obviously a lot for a teenage girl to watch, as well as undoubtedly for Buffy to go through. And actually, I will say this, I will sing it from the hills every time. The metaphors in Buffy are there, and they are there for a reason. Joyce finding out that she's a Slayer. Pretty sure there's many things that can be contributed. Like there's so many metaphors and allegories and things that are used throughout this show. But for me personally, even just the idea of you're a teenage girl, you're dating an older guy, he turns out to be really horrible. He uses you. Your life sucks. Your mum isn't knowing what's going on. Everything. It's like it's yeah, there's a lot to deconstruct in season 2. And am I right? I know I feel like I'm about to get this very wrong. But is this the bit where she turns around to Joyce and she's going, "Open your eyes, Mom. Like, what do you think has
Yes.
been going on here?"
Yeah.
And for me personally, I think for me that felt like a coming out. And that not
Dramatic pause
No,
there. All right.
it's very dramatic.
dramatic pause.
Okay,
Yes.
No, I
you're
mean,
moving.
for me that felt like a coming out. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you're
felt
Yes,
back.
yes.
it felt like Buffy coming out almost, or like like a coming out kind of story to me. Which, if
Hmm.
we're gonna be
All
guys,
right,
you
now.
guys drop in, because if I'm dropping out, you guys drop in. You go with it. What do you think? Do you think I'm way off base? Do you think I'm about right?
No, I think you're spot on, because I think even that whole kind of, what do you mean you're a Slayer? What does that mean? That's almost like Joyce coming to terms with Buffy coming out. Um, that was certainly how I always looked at it anyway. Realization. I like the kind of long reaching effects of that on Buffy as a character through the next seasons, because she sacrificed him to save the world, but she's never quite got that same almost like doe-eyed naivety after that. Her faith in what's good has been destroyed, and I think that and the effects on Buffy as a character, and her wider circle. I think that whole effect there just makes the coming seasons even better.
I think we definitely feel the effects of their relationship throughout the entirety of the show, even and into Angel as well, which obviously is a show that we will probably talk about either whilst we're here or separately or both. But yeah, it's definitely like what's the episode in Angel where like he becomes human for a day, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure.
Jeez.
Yeah, but Rhiannon was talking about the episode where for a day Angel becomes human and they can just be with Buffy and they reunite. But then for altruistic reasons, Angel decides to revert that and he remembers it and Buffy doesn't. So it's just this unfulfilled love. It's like even stronger because he doesn't get to, oh, she doesn't get to even remember it.
But yeah, so it's one of those like that relationship, even to this day, you've got like, oh, is it Bangel or is it Spuffy? Like, and at the minute, I think I've got a Spuffy t-shirt on today. So,
Mm-hmm.
spoilers, but yeah, so I think there's no looking at Riley, but we will come to that.
I was going to say, it's interesting nobody ever thinks of Riley.
I tell you what, though, up until probably recently, I thought Riley was like top dog. I was like, yeah, like love Riley, and then I was like, oh, but again, you watch it at different times in your life, you get different things from it, and that will always be the joy for me with Buffy. Will always be the joy. But yeah, anything else to add about season 2, guys? Oh, we need to rank it. We need to rank where season 2 stands.
Before we go there, myself and Elena can do a bit of shameless self-promotion because we got a unique insight into
Of
season 2 the
course,
other day.
Yeah.
Yes,
Some
incredible
interesting
stuff.
stories that Jeff Pruitt, the stunt coordinator from seasons 2 till 4 or 5, I
Yeah,
remember.
season 2.
Yeah.
Basically, he tried to get the job for season 1, and Joss Whedon absolutely refused to have him. Outright, they would show his demo tapes and he would throw them away because he did Power Rangers. And he said, I'm not having Power Rangers fighting in this. And I believe it was Sarah that actually had to keep on going and just, no, get this guy in. Just have him do one fight. And then when he saw that, and they actually sacked the original stunt
I remember because
coordinator.
obviously when we were putting together some of the promo videos for this episode that you guys recorded, I was going through like some of the stuff available on YouTube, like and like looking at different shots of him sort of back in the day, like teaching and fighting, and my goodness,
Yes.
the level of skill! I was there like, wow, like this is amazing. Like, so it baffles me. I mean, it doesn't because Joss Whedon, but like it baffles me that he wouldn't even consider that.
And to offset all the heartbreaks, there is that lovely story we talked about before we started recording. This is what led to Jeff marrying Sophia Crawford, who was Buffy's stunt double in that infamous shot. Because we asked him, like, what's the one shot that was almost, really did some serious stuff. And it was that shot in Werewolf where Buffy's caught in the net. At the time, I think Fiance did that, and did she break her spine now, Elena? I'm trying to remember.
No, but
she was very seriously hurt anyway.
She managed to at last minute like offset the grab something and avoid the biggest damage, but it was still very dangerous. Yeah.
And then it was said as she was waiting to be assessed in the hospital, that's when Jeff finally decided to propose to her. So this isn't a season of heartbreak after this. So please go watch that episode. You'll find some really interesting behind the scenes stuff. And the other interesting thing he says is like when she started going out with Freddie and how everyone thinks she's the kick-ass one and Freddie's like this wimpy guy. And he said in real life they're completely opposite. Like Sarah's a very quiet, bookwormy, nerdy girl who would not get into a fight, whereas Freddie's actually a martial artist and all that. He would kick your ass. So he just said it's funny how people see them in real life. And
that's amazing. Yeah, definitely, guys, do check that episode out with.
And there's just maybe a flippant question, but is there any person on Earth that's attracted to men that's not in love with Spike at some point? Yes, and I think even Graham, I think we can speak as straight guys. Even we would go, yeah,
absolutely,
we'd go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, to be honest, I just in general, I just love the cast. They're fantastic, every single one.
The thing that I always ask myself when it's when I happen onto men like that. Do I want to date them or do I want to be them?
Yes, it's a really important question because I tell you what, the coat, like obviously we find out where he gets the coat from later on, and that has its own trauma attached. But the coat was good. I know why he took it. The coat was pretty great, and I would very much like that coat too. Yeah, I feel that. I
And
feel that.
I tried to
one
get that
last.
quote.
Yep.
I feel better.
Did you now?
Yeah.
What?
I was
What
I
do
was
you mean
completely
tried? Why did you stop trying? You must get
because
this
I was
coat.
completely the wrong shape.
No.
Never.
Didn't have the cheekbones, and now I don't have enough hair. So it's fine though.
I disagree. Absolute disagree. I feel like we need to find you this coat. Watch this space.
Yes.
Watch this space. We'll get Graham the coat.
One
Okay,
last spike question from me before we wrap up. How do you think it would have went if the original first choice had been cast? Do you know who it was?
It's a now. 1 second. You carry on. Don't keep us in suspense. I feel like I've got a fact about this.
Nathan Fillion, aka
Yes. And you know what? It's like so obviously big Firefly fan, love.
mm-hmm.
But personally, I was trying to have a Google there to see if I could find something about it. But I personally actually loved him as Caleb. I thought that was again another unsettling religious, not just kind of a character like we had with Luke in the first series.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've got this other guy, like as Caleb, I thought he was like, because he's a very handsome man, and also at the time would have been well known for these kind of things. It was interesting because I don't know if I would have felt the same way about Spike. I just don't think I would. I think James Masters just was embodies is. And whilst I love Nathan Fillion very, very much, I just don't know if it would have had the same. I don't know if it would have hit the same, actually.
That's where I am because I'm a huge fan of Nathan Fillion,
And also,
so much good.
You couldn't tell me with a straight face that Cecily wouldn't have chosen Nathan Fillion just based on the fact he was Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that. Like, Hallie would have had to. She would have made that work. Whereas James Masters, when he had his little hairdo with the. I loved him, don't get me wrong. Big stan. But, like, I can see why that is slightly more believable. And then also him stepping into this bad boy look because it's like he has grown into himself and this is who this is who he is kind of thing. It's like, it's interesting. I don't think it would have carried the same. Like, I just don't. And obviously just James. Chef's kiss. Couldn't have been anyone else. Absolutely not.
It's one last thing. I've been running an audience poll as we've been talking, and there's a tiebreaker. So you guys will get to be the authority on this subject. So the most heartbreaking moment of season 2 is Angel losing his soul, Giles finding Jenny's body, Buffy being forced to kill Angel, or Buffy leaving Sunnydale. I'm not going to tell you what's tying right now, so I'll just let you vote without. Rhiannon, your vote.
I think, and I don't know if this is just, as I said, I've watched Buffy throughout stages of my life. I think now, if I was watching it, I think Giles finding Jenny. I mean, I think it's always hit for me genuinely because of just the cruelty and the just reckless hate. And yes, like what Buffy went through when Angel lost his soul was horrifying, and it made me feel cold, like physically cold inside. But like, there's something about that where you can just see. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the older I get. I don't know, but I think I might have to say the end of Passion. Kind of comes out of nowhere.
Okay, Elena, your vote.
Yes, same choice. I think when Buffy has to sacrifice Angel, it's awful. And also, even like as I age, watching it is like easier, but it's still kind of like, oh no. But it's what creates Buffy. Like she's was made to make these sacrifices. So in a way, it makes her stronger. Although I wish for her she wouldn't have to go through it, of course. Whereas the story of Giles and Jenny, those are just two random people who are in love, and then it doesn't happen for these awful reasons. And it's almost like Giles is this father figure, but then he gets his own individual like story, and then that's just snatched away from him, and that's just so hard to watch.
And Graham?
It's a clean sweep on that.
Yeah.
100%. I think with the other options, there's not that level of cruelty attached to them directly. Whereas this was a conscious choice made by Angelus specifically to hurt Giles, to hurt Buffy indirectly by hurting Giles. It's, going right back to episode 2 of the season, where Giles is bumbling his way through practicing asking her out, to there. Just that whole art is it's properly heartbreaking, and it's easy choice
End
for
of
me.
Passion. Yeah, End of Passions. End of Passions, I think, will always be the biggest heartbreak of season 2 for us.
So with that, it's ranking time. So just go through these in the same order.
Ranking time for episodes for our favorite seasons.
Yeah, the season ranking.
So far.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say let's build it back up. Let's build it. Let's leave on a good note, people. I was like, no, not at all. I just feel like I've really got into my feels there. I'm like, Jenny, like, yeah, no. Right. Okay. All these sadnesses aside, let us remember that these are some of the reasons why Buffy becomes such an important thing to us all. It's why we feel so strongly for these characters. We feel like we know them. We're a part of them. We're here as the Scoobies. There's a reason for that. Season 2 for me, it could actually be my favorite season if it wasn't for a couple of these key episodes. But whenever anyone asks me what's your favorite season, I do say season 2, but I'm not sure if it is. I feel like I might have another season that will come in and will come into its own, but it's actually really hard for me to decide here. Is it my favorite season? Is it not? It might be my second favorite season. It might, but it's a real clincher for the top prize. I'm not gonna lie. Anyone else? Elena, what are you saying?
So second place, really good season. Just can't get over these Joss Whedon inserts.
Joss Whedon
that
inserts.
They're just taking it down.
I have to agree. It's a sadness, but it's there. Graham, what about yourself?
Second favorite season.
Favorite C. Look at us. We were less aligned on the first season. We had to sort of battle it out, but I think yeah, you're right. Absolute nail on the head there, Elena. Like, if we are talking about strengths and weaknesses, alas, Joss's self inserts really crack it down. Also, yeah, just this kind of like disconnection from the characters and the storyline we all know and love. But then on the flip, obviously, we have such compelling stories, relationships, new characters, development, all this stuff coming in. As you say, like, Willow's developing, we're meeting new people, Giles has a tragic but an independent little story going on, and yeah, we just see a lot more from Buffy, and as she's very much kind of starting to come into her own. So yeah, must admit, season 2, you have been a pleasure. I don't doubt we will talk of you again with much love and sorrow at times. But yeah, I think that's everything from us.
Yeah, I think so. And it's just to point out, all the Joss Whedon, we're planning an epilogue episode once we reach the end to talk about some of these issues a bit more in depth, because we want to just focus on the episodes at the time. We do know we have to acknowledge some of that stuff as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, there'll be some supplementary episodes as well. Yes. Okay, everyone, thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks to your Hebridean Scooby Gang as well. As always, Master shall be fish and violence. That's your catchphrase. That's sticking with you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye.
Thanks.
And don't leave yet.